Welcome to Roll or Die, episode number 63. We have Scott Carpenter with us today. Really appreciate you coming on, Scott.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Cheers.
And, you want to give him a little bit of a bit of an intro, Anton? What is that?
I'm getting there. So when I first met Scott, right, I walk into the reception at Absolute and Cooper's there. And he says, oh, you're going to have a really tough time in the comp class today. And I'm like, okay. So there's this guy, Scott, downstairs. I don't really know who he is. I just know he's a monster and he's going to destroy us all, right? That was how I was introduced to Scott. And I walked upstairs. He's this really nice guy, but he destroys so many people in our gym, probably everybody. I don't know if there's anybody who's ever beaten Scott yet in our gym. It's pretty crazy. So that's one of the reasons why we wanted you to come on the show today, Scott, because I'm just fascinated. You got your brown belt in 4 years. Is that right?
Yeah, like pretty much 4 years. I'd have to look up the dates, but it's pretty much, like close on 4 years from when I first started.
Yeah, so I'm really keen for us to kind of dive in and work out, like, were you created in a lab somewhere and then they just placed you on us, or like, what happened? How did someone get to be, the kind of grappler that you are in that period of time? So yeah, that's the background. Yeah. So when did you start grappling?
When or where or both?
When, like both, yeah. Before Jiu-Jitsu, I know it was 4 years in Jiu-Jitsu, but have you always been doing something else and then you came across to Jiu-Jitsu?
So yeah, no, like when I was a kid, I always did sports and stuff like that. And like when we grew up, we lived on a farm and all that sort of thing. So like we're always like active kids.
Yeah.
And I also like lived on the coast as well. So it wasn't like we were like I guess like now living in Melbourne, you see a lot of kids that I guess you would say probably spend a lot of time like inside their apartments or like don't go out and play and stuff like that. Whereas we were the sort of kids that was always like outside playing, like had active lifestyle. So I always did that when I was a kid. And then when I was like 9, I started doing swimming like competitively. I did that till I was 17. And then from like 17 till like 20, just before I turned 21, I just like obsessively went to the gym. Like I wasn't competing in anything. Like I wasn't doing like competitive bodybuilding or powerlifting, but like I was just training hard in the gym, trying to get as big and strong as I could, sort of thing. And then it was actually my brother who like was interested in like boxing and jiu-jitsu and like MMA and all that sort of stuff, like for ages. And I wasn't that interested back then. Like he was the one who was like always talking about it and trying to show me stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, whatever. Like I just want to get big.
Yeah.
I just want to be jacked. Like I didn't care. I was like, I just want to be jacked. And then I started to get bored with like lifting, and like he actually stopped doing jiu-jitsu, but he still had his gi and stuff like that. And it was just at home, and like it was in the corner pretty much, like stuffed in the corner. And I remember looking at it and I was like, because I was starting to get bored of lifting, I was like, man, maybe I'll do a class, I was like, I'll try it, I'll see how it goes. And then like I just pretty much took my brother's gear, my brother's belt. So like my first gear and first belt was actually like a hand-me-down, I guess you'd say, from like my baby brother.
Yeah.
And it started like that. And I started in Port Kennedy, Western Australia, at a gym called Gemini Sports, which is under like Legion 13 banner. Yeah.
Amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that club actually, Scott, is run now by Josephine Masiello, is that right?
Yeah.
She's one of the coaches there. So you actually were under a female coach for a big part of your jiu-jitsu, is that right?
Yeah, so for most of it, like I was getting coached by Joe. Because there's 2 Geminas, there's one in Port Kennedy, one in Kelmscott. And yeah, like she floats between the 2. But yeah, like when I first started, there was only the one in Port Kennedy, pretty much, like when I was first starting. And yeah, she was like our head coach. She was the coach, yeah. So I was like from the beginning was coached by a female, which to be honest, I think made me more technical, because I remember she always used to tell me, don't use strengths, you need to work on this, you need to work on that. Not just come in with such a brutish isn't the word, but don't just try and like Hulk smash everything, She'd be like, don't do it like that, you need to be more technical, don't just use strengths, don't, she had like a very good eye for like saying what needed to be worked on. And yeah.
And how do you do that? Like, given when you're a beginner and you don't really have a lot of technique, but you are this, big guy, how can you use your technique? Like, that's got to be pretty challenging, to be able to hold back your strength when you're still learning the skills and you don't actually have a lot of arsenal to go with?
Yeah.
Like what would you suggest there for people?
I feel like for me, like personally, maybe not everyone's like this, but in the beginning, I walked into that gym like telling myself I wanted to be really good at jiu-jitsu. It wasn't just like, I wanted to try something new, but I like told myself I want to be really good at this. And I don't know, I guess just getting told I had to be more technical was part of it, So I was like, okay, I'll take it on board. It wasn't just like, I don't care what you have to say. Like, I'm just going to keep doing it the way I want to do it. And using strength. I was like, like I said, I had this thing in my head. I was like, I want to be good at jiu-jitsu. What do I have to do to be good at it? And like, I was obsessed from the beginning. So I listened to that. And then I would also watch, like, I don't think like beginners should get all their skills and techniques and ideas from YouTube only, but I would watch people on YouTube that were really good, like really good black belts already, and people like winning high level competitions. And I would just watch something and it would look super technical. And I'd be like, okay, how can I try and replicate that as best as possible, like in training today? So I would just try and make myself be technical. So yeah, I think it was just what was in my head, like it wasn't, it was just something that was in my head telling me like, okay, if I want to be good, I got to do it like this. There's no way around it.
I'm fascinated by this, right? Because I have been I've been doing jiu-jitsu for like 10 years. And I really like when I hear a guy like you, who's what did you say you were 20 when you walked into that gym? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I think it was like just before I turned 21. Yeah.
Like, I don't understand how you could be so coachable. Like even as a 40-something-year-old, there's a part of me when the coach says do this that goes, fuck you, don't tell me what to do, right? And then that's why development is so slow. You know what I mean? And yet you have like, you must have taken everything they said on board and tried to adjust every single time. I'm fascinated. Where did you learn that? Or, have you always been that way, or did you learn that?
I think like a certain aspect of me is exactly how like you said you are. So there's sometimes where people tell me to do something and I'm like, nah, no fucking way, I'm not doing it like that. Yeah. Like that ego side of you that says no, like I don't want to do it like that. I want to do it my way. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, it just comes back to that thing of like I wanted to be good. So sometimes, like I said, I wasn't like perfectly coachable all the time. Sometimes like I'd go off in my own direction and be trying something else or doing something else. And I was like, this probably isn't like the most, like coachable. Like this isn't what the most coachable student would do.
Okay.
But as well, I feel like I've always been like super inquisitive, like very curious about like everything. So sometimes I would just experiment with things and sometimes you fall flat on your face. And then sometimes you get lucky and it works out. And then, you're like, okay, I kind of figured something out. But like I said, I just wasn't perfect all the time, but I would try and listen my best.
Love it.
And you're a very humble guy. You've actually won Blue Belt Worlds. So I remember you saying to me, like, it's Blue Belt, so it doesn't really count. But Blue Belt, if anybody knows, is probably one of the most stacked divisions, especially adult worlds. There's sometimes, hundreds of competitors in each weight class. So tell us a bit about that experience. How was that?
I don't remember how many people was in my division, but I remember it was 5 matches for gold. So yeah
that's a lot.
I wish I could remember to tell you exactly how many like other competitors were in my division, but I do remember it was 5 matches.
So when was that? How long ago was that?
That was Nogi Worlds 2018, so like December 2018.
No gi. Okay. I actually so you train both gi and no gi equally, or what are your thoughts?
I like no gi better. So there's maybe some people that are going to say like you need to do gi more, or you need to do gi to have the best technique or anything like that. But like my honest opinion on it is they're 2 separate things. I like both. I do like no gi better. Obviously you have to do both to be good at both, but I do have a preference for no gi. So
Sorry, I interrupted your experience about Worlds. Yeah, go on.
I was just going to say like, I remember because I competed in gi Worlds earlier that year as a blue belt as well. And I didn't do well at that one. Like I lost that one. I remember I won my first match and then I lost my second. Because I remember, I don't know if you can see my hand, but like those fingers are pretty like, gross. So in my second match, both my fingers like on that hand got dislocated.
Oh.
And the lady that went to put them back in didn't know how to do it properly. So I think she like did a lot of damage to it at the time, because as soon as I closed my hand again, they re-dislocated. And yeah, I ended up being down on points because I tried to keep doing the match.
Mm.
And then I was down on points and I lost. So after that, like I come back home, like my hand like healed and stuff like that. And then we went back for Worlds again, like Nogi Worlds, which would have been like roughly 6 months later, I guess. It was halfway to the year-ish for gi. And then, no-gi was, December.
Yeah.
And I remember just before that, I'd come to Melbourne for the first time to compete in pan packs. And I won gi and no-gi pan packs at super heavyweight. And then, I don't know, some people probably say that would have made me confident, but I remember like in the bullpen before I walked out for my first match at Nogi Worlds, I was like, what the hell am I doing? I was like, I lost last time. I should have just stayed at home and had Christmas with my family. Like, you won pan packs, that's pretty cool, right? Maybe I should have just stayed home, enjoyed Christmas, maybe come back next year for Nogi Worlds. I was like, man, I'm gonna get smashed today, I think. I don't know why. I was like, I don't think today's gonna be good. It's gonna be just like last time. This isn't fun.
Yeah.
And then I remember I had my first match and I won that one, and then I was like, okay, cool, like I won one. Like, the nerves of the first, I don't know, I guess most people that compete will say like the first match is always like the one you feel the nerves the most on, like you get a bit of an adrenaline dump and you feel a bit tired after that first one. But yeah, after the first one, I was like, okay, not bad, I won one. Then I won the next one and I was like, oh, not bad, like I won two now. And then I think it was like the next match, it was like, oh, if you win that, you get a medal or something, and I won my third match, then I was like, yeah, nice. I was like, wow, we're winning medals now, so why not try and win gold? And then I won the fourth and then the fifth. Yeah. And I won all those matches by sub as well. I got 2 triangles, 2 rear naked chokes, and an armbar. So yeah.
Wow.
Awesome.
What's the secret to that success? I'm just fascinated. Like, are you just like, how do you, was it your strength combining with that knowledge? Like, were you able to overpower these people because of the work, like the farm life growing up? And then you took that and you applied good technique to it. Is that like part of the formula here? Just that physicality is part of this genetic, or is it the mindset? What is it that gives you that edge, man?
I think both. Obviously, like any sport, like genetics is going to come into it. Like there's going to be a certain level of genetics in any sport at a high level. So yeah, of course that's part of it. And like I don't want to sound arrogant, but I do think I'm like pretty strong. But I do think like, obviously it's like hard work as well. I trained super hard for that. I was training like 2 or 3 times every single day. Like it wasn't like I was just slacking off sort of thing and just kind of hoping for the best. Like I worked really, really hard to win that comp. And then as well, on top of that, it is the mental aspect, because I hate to lose. Like, of course, like I said before, I was like, oh man, I feel like I'm going to get smashed. But when you're out there, like, not just going to sit there and take whatever they like throw at you, like in my head, I'm like, man, I want to destroy this person. Like, I really want to win. Yeah. It's not like, I'm just going to flow with it and see what happens. Like, of course, I'm always going to try. So it's just that nerves.
Yeah, you hate losing more than you hate your nerves, basically. Like your desire to not lose overpowers everything.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So I was like, there's no way I'm going to give up on trying my best, I guess you could say. Yeah.
And you were in Perth and you're in Melbourne now. So what brought you to Melbourne?
So yeah, I lived in Perth like pretty much my whole life. And then obviously I remember after I won Nogi Worlds, I actually thought about like coming to Melbourne or doing some trips to Melbourne and stuff like that to like train at Absolute. I remember like thinking about it, and then it just never happened. Like through 2019, I remember I went overseas in 2019 to like travel and train a little bit. Like went to Singapore, went to Bali, and trained with some cool people there. And then obviously like towards the end of 2019, everything went bad, so there was like no more travel. And then I was like, okay, well, who knows when we're going to travel and train again and stuff like that. So that put like a bit of a halt to it. And then obviously, everything opened back up. And at that time I was working like a more full-time kind of, not full-time, but I was working more again and still trying to train like twice a day and stuff like that. Then I still wanted to come back to Melbourne. And then also like my girlfriend that I'm with now, she moved to Melbourne as well. So yeah, I decided to come over to Melbourne to like train jiu-jitsu and to like come here and be with her. So yeah.
Oh, awesome.
And does your brother have like in the corner next to the gi that you stole and the belt, like his boxing gear and his MMA gear? Like, do you ever think about trying those on and like going down? Like, imagine what a problem you'd be for someone in a cage, for example. Like does MMA excite you? Is that like in the?
Well, it's funny you say that because now like I'm living in Melbourne and I got the job at like MMA fight store. I actually bought a pair of gloves the other day and I'm going to go do boxing tonight. So yeah, it's funny that you bring that up because it's something I like. I do think about it a lot. And like I've done like the tiniest bit of boxing before, but like not that much. And then like I said, I was just super obsessed with just doing jiu-jitsu. So I kind of like put that to the side for a little while, but now it's like something that's in my like mind again. So yeah, like it is something I'm like interested in. So yeah, it's funny. Yeah, like I said, very funny you brought that up because I bought my gloves from work, like my first pair of gloves, and I'm going to go do boxing tonight at Absolute in the city. So yeah,
awesome, man.
As long as you keep training jiu-jitsu with us and keep backing us all up there at some point too. Don't forget about that. And is your brother still training at all, or he gave it up altogether?
No, he doesn't train anymore. He still loves like the sport of boxing, sport of jiu-jitsu, like watching MMA. Like he still like knows who's current, like who's doing well and stuff like that. But he doesn't train anymore. But yeah, still like really loves it, but just doesn't train. I'd love for him to train again. That'd be cool. But yeah, I've tried to like plant the seed again a few times, but yeah.
I can't imagine a life without training. Like, can you imagine training and then like, unless some sort of injury really stops me, I can't ever imagine. Like, what would have you quit training? Like, can you imagine quitting training for any reason?
No, I remember like I've had like some knee injuries before, and I remember last time like I really hurt one of my knees bad, like I dislocated one of my knees bad. I remember it hurt like super bad, and I felt like something was really wrong. I remember it didn't go straight back in, and it was like I was laying on the mat, and then I was just in agony. I remember sitting there, and I was like, "Well, that's it for jiu-jitsu." Like this is when I was still a purple belt. I was like, "I'm done." And then the next day, I was like, maybe I'll just train jiu-jitsu, but I'll never compete again. I was like, I'll just train jiu-jitsu. And then like a day after that, so like 2 days after I got hurt, I remember there was like states in the gi in Perth, like in like 3 weeks time. And I entered that and then like won all my matches in less than like 45 seconds. All submissions less than 45 seconds. And then after that, I was like, I guess I decided I wasn't going to quit from like whatever reason, because at the time when I first hurt my knee, I was like, nah, that's it. I'm done with jiu-jitsu. This is dumb. Like, why would I keep doing this? My knee hurts. Nah, packing it in, like telling myself every reason. I remember thinking as well on the drive home, I was so sad because I got this like bad cauliflower. I was like, well, if I can't train, I'll have to get an operation to get that fixed. So it doesn't look like I do, jiu-jitsu anymore. I'm going to have to get that fixed. And,
well, that's like breaking up with someone. You want to get rid of all the evidence. You don't on the wall anymore. Yeah.
Well, in 2 days, I'd forgiven jiu-jitsu for hurting me like that and decided I wanted to do it again.
Yeah. I say it all the time. It's such an abusive relationship, jiu-jitsu. It's just, we just keep going back to it, don't we? It's like, what is it about this bitch? And what's next? What's next for you? Like, you're here in Melbourne. I guess international travel for Australia is kind of off the cards. Are you looking at doing the local comps, or what's your future for jiu-jitsu?
I'd like to do like local comps. Obviously, who knows when we're going to be able to travel again, but I'd love to win another like no-gi worlds or a gi worlds, but at brown belt, of course, before, like, who knows when you're going to get graded sort of thing. Like, I don't know when I'm going to get graded, but before that happens, I would love to, like win another worlds, gi or no-gi. But so that's something that's like in my mind. But who knows if it's like a thing that's like 5 years till we can go away again, 4 years, 3 years, whatever, who knows. So that one's kind of like, obviously, like I said, it's something I really want, but it's not something that's foreseeable right now. And then obviously, just on a local level, Panpax is coming up this year, I assume. I assume that one's still going to happen. So that's something I would like to do. Like, I haven't done Panpax since I was a blue belt. So I'd love to do Panpax again. That was like one of my favorite comps ever. That was really fun. So I would love to do that. And then,
what was so good about that?
I had my first super fight at the start of this year. So that's something that, I would like to do again. If there's anything like that.
What was so good about Panpax? What did you love so much about that?
that was the first comp that I ever like got on a plane to go and like, well, first thing I ever traveled, to compete at, so it felt very like serious, very real. It was like the first time I was like, oh wow, we're like doing jiu-jitsu, like, like properly kind of thing. So yeah. And then also I remember before that, like I would do well in training and I'd won comps in Perth and stuff like that, but I was like, I don't know, am I good or not? And then that was the first, I guess you'd say, like big comp that I'd ever won. And like I said, I traveled for it and stuff like that. So yeah, it was kind of like, okay, I can do this on somewhat of a, a level that's higher than just like a small little, local comp. So yeah, I kind of realized maybe I had like a little bit of potential after that. So that's why I loved it. It was like the first time I got to go away and do jiu-jitsu. I did really well. Yeah. And yeah, it made me have like a bit of a realization.
Qantas have this thing called a flight to nowhere. I don't know if they do it in Australia, but you can take a flight from like Tullamarine, it flies up and around and then lands again, right? You could do that because then when you go to the Pan Packs, it'll feel like you've like traveled to get there.
Flight to nowhere.
You can do a little flight to nowhere, fly around, and get that old feeling right back there again.
I was gonna say it'll be just like the first time all over again.
That's right.
And what does your strength and conditioning regime look like now? So you said that before you started, you were very heavily into your weights and into the gym and stuff. Do you still do that now? Do you think there's a place for that in jiu-jitsu or not?
Yeah, of course. I think if you're not doing strength and conditioning, you're leaving yourself behind. Like, I think it's something that has to be done. Even if it's just for like injury prehab, like just to not get injured. Like maybe someone's like, their sole focus is like, I just don't want to be injured anymore. I think you have to do it. But I definitely think it's essential to do like strength and conditioning. Like outside of like all your regular mat work sort of thing. So yeah, I think obviously like everyone's age and stage and experience levels are different, but I think at least like 2 times a week, at least like for everybody that's doing jiu-jitsu, even as a hobbyist, you want to improve, right? You don't want to get injured. You want to be able to spend as much time on the mat as you can with, like I said, without getting injured, trying to improve as fast and as best you can. So yeah, I feel like it's like one of those things, why would you not? It's like something so simple, it's super accessible. There's no reason to not.
Yeah. What sort of exercises would you, because you're a personal trainer, you've got a background in this? So if someone doesn't have like a big setup of weights or something like that, they don't have access to it. Like our gym, we're pretty lucky. If you remember, you've got access to the weights there. But let's say you're at a different gym and they're really purely just jiu-jitsu mats and stuff like that. Is there stuff that people can do at home? Is it, accessible for people maybe if they just have like some stretchy bands and stuff like that? Or is your own body weight enough? What sort of things can people do to keep themselves in the game?
Yeah, like obviously I think if you have access to it, you should be like going to a gym and using like you should be doing like, using like equipment, using like free weights and things like that. But if you don't have access to that, anything's going to be better than nothing, but it should be like full body kind of compound exercises, still base things like pull-ups. If you, have like an area to do pull-ups, push-ups, like squatting, like even if it's just your body weight or like small weights, like you said, with bands or anything like that. But like full body compound exercises are always going to be like the best bang for buck kind of thing. But yeah, if you have access to like a gym with free weights, barbells, dumbbells, kettlebells, that sort of thing, I feel like that's going to be even better. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And what about mobility stuff? Do you work that sort of thing? Did I jump into your question, Anton? Sorry. Especially as a...
Yeah, because I'll change tack actually. So let's finish on this.
Oh, okay, cool. As a bigger guy, like sometimes maybe mobility might be not quite as easy for you. You're still relatively young, but what advice have you got for people around that sort of thing?
To be honest, when I've felt the best in terms of my mobility was when I was doing yoga like 3 times a week. Like I would go to yoga class, and I'll be honest, I've been slacking with that a little bit lately. And I do notice a difference. Like I feel much tighter, like not so much injuries, but just like, I'm like, oh man, like I feel like very tight sometimes in certain areas, or like, like I'll wake up and be like, oh, I'm a bit, a bit sore here and there. So I feel like that's super important. And that's something even I need to work on more. But even if you just stretch for like 10-15 minutes after training every day, like that's going to make a massive difference. And yeah, like same thing, that comes back to your like injury prevention. I feel like it made a massive difference when I was doing that in terms of feeling like I wasn't going to get injured. When I was combining like the yoga with strength and conditioning, I felt very good.
Yeah.
Yoga,
Cool. Yeah,
strength.
you're not the first guest to talk about yoga on this podcast. A lot of our previous guests have also talked. Yeah, there's a big link. Yeah.
Tiago's teacher training, I think, at the moment. So yeah, we're definitely, our gym's definitely pushing more and more down the yoga path, I think, like as far as our internal knowledge of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, quite a few people there have like spoke to me about it and how they're doing courses or like they're already into it themselves. So yeah, that's really cool.
I think there's like a triangle between like yoga, jiu-jitsu, and surfing. Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, for sure.
Very real link there.
Magical
Sorry,
triangle.
Anton, I'll let you go.
No, it's fine. I was interested to know, are you more like Craig Jones, who competes and doesn't coach, or are you more like Lachlan Giles, who kind of coaches and then competes to kind of, I guess, back up his coaching and enhance it? Like, he really needs to be a coach first, a competitor second. Like, do you see coaching in your horizon for BJJ? Are you interested in that sort of stuff, or do you want to remain solely focused on your own competitive journey?
So it's funny you asked that. So back in Perth, I was like working at like a health food store as like, I guess you'd say like my main job, but I was also coaching a lot too. So I'd coach like a lot of classes. I would coach, I don't remember the exact amount of sessions per week, but let's say between like 4 or 5 sessions a week kind of thing. Like I was coaching a bit. And then since I've come to Melbourne, obviously I've come back to just being like a student in the class kind of thing. I love both, but it's good to have a break from time to time from each. That's what I've realized now. It's good to have a break from each from time to time. So sometimes it's good to come to the gym and just be able to sit there and not have people ask questions and just focus on what I want to focus on. But then also it's sometimes I feel like it's, well, the first thing I guess you can say is it feels good to give back. So if you're coaching in a class, apart from like everything else, it just feels good to give back and help people. Yeah. But secondly, I feel like it gives, like, sometimes when you coach, I think you like start to notice like why things work better. You have more of a why because you have to explain it. It has to be understandable for everybody, from whoever's in the class, whether they're like a day one white belt through to like whatever the highest rank on the mat is that day. So, you know, your reasons for why things are and why they work, and, you know, how to connect things. Yeah, it definitely has more reason and you start to understand things better. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, it also just feels good to be able to like help people and answer their questions. But yeah, I guess you'd say my answer for that one is it's good to float between the two. Yeah. Wow. So I'm enjoying just being able to sit down and shut up for now and focus on it.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome.
And what about outside of jiu-jitsu? What other things do you like to do, you know, in your free time when you have it? Like
free time, he does yoga, BJJ.
I know, I know, strength and conditioning. Yeah, no, but outside of those things, surely.
I feel like it's super limited the amount of like free time I have. And since I've come to Melbourne, like I'm still getting to know everything around here and everyone and figure out where things are. Like I don't know like where a lot of things are yet. Like I'm still putting that all together in my mind. So I feel like what I do in my free time here compared to what I would do back home is like two super different things. And obviously now I live in a city. Before, like I spent my whole life either living like when I was a kid out on a farm, or like when I was older, I always lived on the coast. So I would always like, I like to go to the beach. Like at home, I have my dog. So I'd hang out with my dog, take my dog for a walk, catch up with my friends, go to lunch, that sort of thing. But now I feel like in my spare time here, I don't have a car as well. So I'm walking places and trying to figure out where things are. So yeah, but it's like cool here to like be able to go to all different restaurants and experience like all the different cuisines and stuff like that. So I do like that about here. There's a lot more cultural things to do than back home, I guess you would say. So yeah, but for the most part, I'm still figuring out where everything is, because sometimes I'll walk around and be like, oh yeah, I know where I am now. I'm still figuring it all out.
Well, about living on, being raised on a farm, like, yeah, do you have amazing, like, are those memories just the best memories, or are they memories of hard work? Like, I know that farm life can be a roller coaster. What was your experience of, you know, growing up on a farm?
No, when we were kids, it was fun. It was always very fun. It was me, like all my cousins and stuff like that. There's a bit of an age gap between all of us, like from the youngest, I think, to the oldest in terms of my cousin, there's like 12 years or something like that. I'm 10 years younger than my oldest cousin. But yeah, we always played together. We're always outside. We're always finding things to do. So yeah, like my memory of my childhood is like really good. Like we're always having fun. We're always, yeah, like I said, finding something to do. We used to make like go-karts. We used to make like flying foxes from the like top of like hay sheds down to the ground. We would go catch tadpoles. You know, I remember like there was cats and dogs on the farm and stuff like that. And I always remember there being like puppies and kittens. And yeah, it was fun. I loved it.
Yeah. Great life.
And when you're really young, like I feel like some work things feel like fun anyway, you know, like we'd get asked to help carry something and you'd be like, oh yeah, this is great, you know, like now if someone asks me to do it, I'd be like, oh fuck, you know, like I don't really feel like doing that. But like when you're a kid, it seems like a good time, you know, you're like, hey, this is fun, you know, or you feel like you're doing the right thing for helping. So
they're asking me because they think I'm strong. Yeah,
exactly.
Yes. Yeah, we've been trying to get you on the podcast for ages, and you went across to Perth, and then unfortunately they had a little bit of a case outbreak there. And then what happened there? Did you get locked down in Perth, or what happened there?
Well, yeah, we only got locked down for 3 days, but it's funny you say that because I got sick as well. Like I ended up with like a flu or a virus or I don't know what, but I got tested for COVID twice and they were both negative. But yeah, I remember like I had like all these symptoms and, you know, obviously, yeah, there was the outbreak and there was the big list of all the places that, you know, all the hot spots. And it's like, oh my God, this guy's been like everywhere. I remember, you know, yeah, before I went and got tested, I was kind of like sitting there thinking like, I don't really want to go. I don't know if I don't want to go because I'm worried that it's going to hurt when they do it, or if I am worried that there's going to be bad news at the end of this, you know. But I remember I had all these symptoms and like I had no appetite and I was feeling sick and just shivering.
Yeah.
Like I lost a bunch of weight and stuff like that. So yeah, so we stayed in Perth like a little bit longer than what was expected, just because I didn't really feel like flying when I felt like that, and I had to get like one COVID test in Perth and then one in Melbourne anyway. Wow. So yeah,
nightmare.
Yeah, it was a bit of a delay to get me on here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but we finally did it. We did it,
and
here you are.
Absolutely. And I've got to say, like, learning about you and your life today has been amazing, brother. Like, you have not disappointed. There's so many interesting facets about you. And I'm really grateful you hang around in our club and you're part of the furniture now and, you know, and destroying us.
Yeah, man.
It's really cool. That's really cool.
That's great. Yeah, thank you for taking the time to come on. We've got a couple, I think, of other podcasts lined up. So I think it'll be about 2 weeks or so we'll have this out. But if you could share it, that'd be awesome, because, yeah, we're really trying to grow our audience.
If any of you think you're tough, come and roll with Scott Carpenter. And that's all I'd say.
Yes.
You're pimping me out.
Yeah. I'm sure you can back it up based on your performance on the mats from what we've seen. So yeah. Very
all right.
Good. So yeah, thank you for that, and we'll see you on the mats.
Yeah, see you probably tonight.
That's right. Okay, take care. Bye.
Bye.